Hi there, Robin here, and today we're going to be talking about the Phenyx Pro PTX-400, which is a 10-channel mixer featuring 8 actual combo jacks for microphones or line inputs, plus an additional side-mounted MP3 player or Bluetooth or PC connection. It even has analog tracks coming in and out of it. To make things as easy as possible, I've also added a complete timeline to the bottom so you can see everything there is about the unit when it comes to overall features. If there's one feature you're looking for specifically, hopefully I got it on the timeline for you. With 256 effects built right into the unit, this mixer helps out a lot of people. Now in this video, we're going to find out if this is the right mixer for you. And if you already bought this mixer, this video is also going to help you understand how to use it. We're going to cover all the features of the mixer, how they actually operate, and all the benefits of having those features. All of that's in this video. And here we are with the mixer. Now, there's a lot to be said when you have a mixer that has 8 channels cross top and all 8 of them actually have mic jacks on them. A lot of mixers, you're going to see them 8 and 10 channel mixers where you only have 4 actual mic inputs, maybe 5 you're lucky. In this case, all of them, all 8 of them have mic input options to them. None of the first 8 channels are paired off. So you're going to have 8 actual sliders to match up with all 8 channels. The extra 2 channels that they talk about reference to either the track left and right input here or the actual built-in Bluetooth MP3 player and record functionality that's located on the actual digital portion of the unit. Now we're going to cover this mixer by starting, of course, at the top right where it says 1, and I already have a microphone plugged in. That microphone's plugged in via an XLR cable, which is how you want to plug all your mics into it. If you decide you want to plug a guitar into it, it does not have high Z, but you can run it through a simple DI box and then use the XLR cable to plug into this unit. So with all the top rows now being combo jacks, we can either put in a 3-pin XLR for our microphones, or we can put in a 1/4 inch connection as well. So we can have a balanced or unbalanced cable to that. And that can be for things like our keyboards, electric drum sets. After that, the next line, we still see a bunch of 1/4 inch jacks going down the whole line. First 8, those are all insert jacks. With having 8 inserts, I can run independent effects boxes for every single channel. I just need to make sure I'm using the proper cable, and this is what that looks like. It's a tip ring sleeve cable here, which is a balanced looking cable, against 2 unbalanced cables. This allows me to send the signal out and have it come back into the actual unit for that individual channel. After that, we're going to have 2 buttons per channel. The first one is a pad button, and the second one is a low cutoff button. So the first button being a pad button, that allows me to add an extra 36 dB to each individual channel across the board. So that means that if I have this button up, I can go all the way up to 60 when it comes to gain, which is an awful lot of gain. If you have a super sensitive mic, let's say like an SM7B, and you're not going to buy yourself an external preamp for that unit, like a cloud lifter, you can actually make that happen by keeping the pad engaged. This feature also helps when you have a regular dynamic microphone, but you want to get some more distance. If you're doing recording with this, if you're using the USB attachment to connect to your computer and you want to record, that's also a great way to increase the overall gain so you can hold the microphone further away. The second button is an actual low cut filter. So if you have any background noise, like if you're running this at home, which we do in our studios here, for example, or maybe you're going to have it in a noisier place and you want to cut out that low rumbling background sound that microphones just love to record, you just engage that and that will make all of that go away. Anything under 100 Hertz will be cut out. And again, those features are offered across all 8 channels. The next group are your 3-band EQs. Again, going across all 8 of them. We start at the beginning. We've got a high, mid, and a low control. So this gives us a little bit more detail in the actual sound per channel. So it allows us to EQ each individual channel using these 3 knobs right here. So the next 2 rows are green and yellow, and the first one is for AUX, and the second one is for EFX. So the AUX references to the side of it saying 1 monitor. Now that means I can use this for my monitor output, which would go right out here. So any channel, if I decide I want to run a speaker right in front of me as a monitor, I can decide exactly which inputs I want to listen to on that output. The yellow knobs are labeled as EFX, which is for our effects control panel here, which is where we have our 256 effects. Now it also has a number 2 labeled next to it, and that's because these particular knobs have 3 jobs in their lives. They can either control the level of the effects, they can act as a second monitor through the send option, and they also allow you to control external overall processor. So any effects boxes, any special effects that you want to add, through the whole mixer can be done using the send and return function. And that'll all be part of what you see in the yellow knobs. The last set of knobs are for your pan options. Even though each individual channel is a single, of course, dedicated channel, I can make that left or right, or I can leave it in the middle and it'll automatically come out of both channels. Now I can also, of course, lean it to the right or lean it to the left to move that sound around. So this way I get a better overall stereo effect in the room I'm in. And again, they give you that across all 8 channels. So if you're looking to get a mixer and you're looking to spend a reasonable amount of money, so you're saying, I want to buy this for a church, or I want to buy this for home, this is a great way to go. This is a reasonably priced mixer that does an awful lot. That being said, if you're looking for a $500 or $600 mixer, you're going to be watching the wrong video. This mixer only costs a couple of $100. That's very important to take note. So everything we talk about here, keep that in mind, and you might decide that this is the right mixer for you. Remember the things that come included when you buy a mixer, so this way you can think ahead and maybe, decide all the extra little things you may want to buy at the same time. That USB cable that you're going to need to plug it into your computer is not included. It's a USB-A to USB-A connection. Of course, the links will be down below for that, but that's an important cable. If you want to plug this into your computer, you're going to need it. Only a couple of bucks, but if you don't have one, you most likely don't. You're going to want to buy it at the same time. Also have a look at microphones. There's always great options to microphones. There's great ways to go. Remember, if you're looking for a microphone for a studio versus a microphone to have on a live set, and corded microphones may sound better than wireless microphones, but also think of the convenience of getting rid of that cable. And remember, at any point in time, if you're interested to know exactly the prices, because it's roughly around $200, please have a look at the links down below. They're there to help you out. The one for Phenyx gets you to Phenyx's website, which makes the product available in the US direct from them, and the other one's to Amazon. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like the idea of this mixer, if you have any comments on this mixer, please leave them down below. Remember, it's a reasonably priced mixer, and it's always nice to know what people think about it. I really enjoy mixers. I'm pretty open-minded though. I've tried expensive mixers, reasonably priced, and cheap mixers. I only really talk about the ones I like, which is why this one happens to be here today. So we've made our way up to the actual solo button, which could also have been the pre-fader option on it, but solo seems to be the trendy word right now. By engaging solo, it's going to do 2 things for me. One, this is going to be the only track that I'm going to hear out of my headphones. So if I'm trying to segregate and listen to just a particular track and see how that one sounds, it's going to be just this section up here I'm listening to, not including the faders at the bottom. That's going to come out of my headphones, and that is the actual signal I'm going to see appear on my meters. You're going to see those solo buttons appear in a lot of places. They also appear up here when it comes to the effects and to the monitor send. So I have the ability to press a solo channel here, and if I press solo up here, what I'm going to listen to is a pre-fader selection on that actual monitor. So at the bottom, all these sliders line up specifically with the channels that you see in front of them. It's very straightforward in that sense. Then we get an orange slider here, which is so I can adjust proportionately my overall effects. So up here, I would, make my adjustments on my effects the way I want. No worries. Of course, here I'm going to select the effect I want to have. This knob here is going to allow me to actually adjust how much effect send control I have. Normally I'd leave that at 0. It does make more of a difference if I'm using it in tandem or using it as a monitor send. So if I choose to have this as a send option for my monitor up here, and use that as monitor number 2, this will be much more predominant. So normally I would just leave that in the 12 o'clock position. And then this slider here, when it comes to the effects, is now going to allow me to proportionally mix the effects into my mains. So if I have my mains, and we'll just use this for example, my main left and right channel are set to 0. If I bring my effects up halfway, we'll say this is 50% of this. So whatever's going on here, my actual effects are going to be just 50% of the overall sound. So again, as I bring this down, it'll always cut the effects in half off my mains automatically. That's just the way that system is set up and built that way. Now the blue slider is for the built-in MP3 player and the RCA inputs on top, which are track 2. So that's all part of what's going on right here and are connected to this slider right here. A couple of things I've learned on this particular unit is dial back your actual MP3 options. You basically want to make sure that your phone, if you're using that as your source or your tablet, is only set at roughly 75%, because then it's really overmodulated on the input signal. So by doing that, you can then have good freedom here. And if you are using this for backtracks or it's part of your karaoke setup, always turn this volume up last. Get yourself set up over here on your microphones. Get all that set up the way you want. If you're using it with your electric drums or your keyboard, get all that going first. Then use this for your backtrack or use this to decide how much gain you're going to want or how much volume you're going to want on your music. This is always going to be a little bit more trickier when it comes to microphones and any other instrument. Bringing in pre-recorded music is the easy part. Now, this is your main gain controls for your outputs. Now, this is going to control two outputs on the unit. It's going to control the XLRs, which are your main outputs on top, but your main outputs are also featured off to the side via the actual 1/4 inch, which can be balanced or unbalanced. So these two, if I use some balanced 1/4 inch cables, I'd have the same output as on top. If I use unbalanced, just remember you're limited to length, and that's about it. And just because these sliders go all the way up, remember, there's a 0 right there. That's your magic sweet spot. But more importantly, this is what I'm always going to play in reference to. So if I actually do everything I need to make this work and I grab myself a microphone, now I have the mic in my hand. And if I bring this unit up, I'm more interested in what's going on up here versus what's going on down here. So again, I can back this up. I can bring this in as much as I want. And remember, I'm just trying to get the most out of the mixer without running it heavy into the yellow or definitely not into the red. And that's how the sliders work. So remember, if your sliders only end up at -10, but you're really like at +2, +4, you've maxed out that particular channel. You may decide to back off a little bit here, because remember, anytime you turn any of these knobs up, you're basically adding to the overall sound, which means you're going to affect the overall sliders at the bottom, and you're definitely going to overall affect the main output. So at any point in time, you're going to find the actual links down below. And this is where I'm going to mention Phenyx Pro actually has their own website now. So besides having the Amazon link down below, you can always compare the price if you're in the US against Phenyx's website directly. A lot of these companies, a lot of them have started coming out with their own websites, allowing them to run their own promotions and their own add-ons. After comparing the price, if you decide that Phenyx's price is better than Amazon's price, I'm going to give you one better. If you use promo code ISLAND at Phenyx Pro's website, you'll save an additional 5%. So again, if you go to Phenyx Pro, now I don't know if this promo code is going to be there forever. I can't guarantee you that. So you try it out. Put the word ISLAND in the promo code to save 5%. Now, what we have here, as we'll call it icing on the cake, is this 7-band EQ, which is to EQ the room. So yes, each actual channel has its own 3-band EQ, but that's the EQ the instruments or the microphones being plugged in. Over here, we get to EQ the actual room. So this way, depending on where you are, it may sound different. A room with very little furniture in it, let's say an empty garage, you're going to have a problem of a lot of feedback because your walls are bare. So you may not have a lot of mids in there, but you'll also notice that the sharps are bouncing all over the place, and you're really hearing a harsh, cold sound out of it. So you may decide to warm it up with a little bit more bass and hold back on the highs a little bit. EQs is like cream and sugar in your coffee. There's no right or wrong. There's only what you like to listen to. So that's really important. If anybody says, oh, that's wrong, they better give you a reason why it's wrong, because most likely it's just they like to have, 2 creams and 1 sugar in their coffee, and you like to have your coffee with 4 creams and 6 sugars. I mean, that's just what it really comes down to. Now, remember, the sliders also come down. Don't just go up. Zeros in the middle. So you can be, -6, and then sliders beside it can be at +6. You don't have to start at 0 and go all the way up to the top. I mean, that's the idea of having a plus-minus setting on the actual mixer. So we've already talked about the knobs, but we'll cover them one more time. Again, this yellow knob here, this is going to be for our effects. I'll most likely leave this at 0. Next to that is my monitor output. That's separate control, so that's not controlled with these guys. The actual monitor send is controlled here, and the button right beside it is if I want to bypass the actual sliders beside it, because maybe if I'm using this for a karaoke setup, I might be using the monitor for me to set up somebody's microphone, and I can actually leave those 2 channels down. If these are my second singers that are going to come on stage, these are my first 2, so we'll slide everything else down so this way not to interrupt. So if I'm using this for a karaoke setup, these are the actual people that are on stage singing right now, and I want to set up the next 2 microphones for the next people that are going to come on stage. I can plug them in, let's say, into 6 and 7 right here, press that solo button on those 2 inputs. Now I have the option. I can either listen to it through my headphones, or I can press the solo button here and listen to it off the monitor if I'm using my own monitor. This way, when it's time to change people and now their turn to sing, well, you can simply take those actual solos off, turn their microphones up, turn the other mics down, and by turning on these solos over here, now I can listen in on these actual microphones instead for, again, setting up the next people that are going to go on stage and sing. That's a very neat feature, by the way. So now that we've covered that, let's cover some of the actual features when it comes to the effects. The effects are very fun to use. They're advertised as 256. What that means is that there is 16 different effects and each effect has 16 different scales. So that basically means that they've included the parameter option and the effects into one single knob. So every effect, so they've got 2 vocal options. The first one starts a little bit. If you don't like it, you can dial it up to a higher number all the way up to 16. And that'll take the exact same effect and just stretch it out. That runs through the entire dial all the way through. So of course, if you get down to, let's say, all the way close to the end, you're close to looking at between 209 and 224. And what does it say? It says delay plus reverb. So if I go all the way up to that number there, anything between 209 and 224 is all going to refer to that one feature there, which is delay and reverb. What happens is I can increase it and decrease that particular feature by either starting at 209, and if I want to go to the extreme point of that feature, I can increase the overall effect all the way up to 224. And that's how that works, and that's how you end up with 256 different effects in the actual unit. So if you're actually looking for the video that I do, the actual audio recordings on the actual computer with this mixer, the link will be right up here for you. That's a much shorter video. That's the video that we use for promotional purposes for Amazon. And we're also going to have it posted on our other channel, which will be Robin's Testing Studio. So it won't be on Expert Island. It'll be on Robin's Testing Studio, and it'll be linked right up above here. Now, next to that is where we're actually going to see all of our functionality when it comes to the display panel right here, which is either for our USB, which, by the way, I have an SD card and a USB adapter, which allows me to just plug into the top here. So we've got action here, but we still don't have any music. Why is that? Because, well, down here, our MP3 track's down. So we'll just bring that up about halfway, and then we'll bring up our mains.
Hello, God. It's me again. From the house round the bend.
Now, notice how easy that was. It just worked. It was there. It's good to go. Now we can do the exact same thing with Bluetooth. Instead of having the USB, I can remove that, or I can just push the mode button. Now by pushing the mode button, it allows me to go into Bluetooth mode. You're going to search on your phone and it'll be really easy to find. I'm going to pick the proper one, which in this case is the Mix MP3 BT connection. So I'm going to choose that one. So once the Bluetooth is connected, you want to pay attention to a couple of things. One, you want it to say Bluetooth. If it says anything else like pause, or if it's in any other mode, disconnect and reconnect to it. You want to have a proper connection, not just for the music, but for the ability to pause and play from the actual mixer. At this point, you just switch off of your unit from your phone and go to wherever you're actually playing. Make sure, again, your volume level is appropriate. So I don't want to see it in the red. It'll be overmodulated. I want to see my Bluetooth logo in the black. And then all you need to do is drive up the volume. And that's it. Volume is not controlled. I don't need my phone anymore to drive that volume. I can drive it from here. I can control the bass and treble. I can control the 7-band EQ from here. And remember, I'm just putting a V pattern in there. This can be anything you want. Not a big deal. Remember, this is the way you want to set it. You would take the time and get it right the way you like to have it. And that's the important part. And that's the Bluetooth. Just like the MP3 player, but wireless. And the Bluetooth comes in really handy if you want to hook this up to your TV. If you want to actually use this on your TV and your TV has Bluetooth because you have YouTube, Netflix, all that, your TV most probably has Bluetooth. Just like your phone and tablet, you can wirelessly connect from here to your TV, no problem. That's great, especially if you want to do any karaoke with it or if you're having a big party. Now, another feature built into the mode functions in the actual digital display unit is record. So if I press this and bring it, I can add first, important, bring back your USB stick or SD card. You can then put it in record mode, which appears like this on the mixer, and you can record to it. This is just a really nice add-on onto the unit. I'm not a big super fan of recording this way. If I'm going to record, I'm going to break out and buy myself a cable so I can plug it into my computer and I can see the actual quality of the recording. Now, outside of that, let's talk about the cosmetics. First of all, it's an all metal chassis, which is very important. These are not the actual sides to the unit. These are screwed on. This is basically a throwback respect to Alan Heath's mixers, which had the actual burgundy look to the sides of it. These are only screwed on. They're cosmetics, and that's fine. I don't mind. It's like having a rich color on the mixer, and that's what the manufacturer chose. There are lots of mixers that are this color or other colors. It's just the way it is. Outside of that, the mixer's functionality as something that you're going to use for a home setup, a home system, absolutely amazing. It works out really well. You know, am I going to criticize and critique everything? If this was a $700 mixer, I would say I don't like that. This is $200 to $250, and the mixer slides up perfectly. Now, the only thing I did have to do, and again, I'm not upset because the price point was just right for it. I did have to come in and adjust a couple of the knobs because they were pushed down a little hard, so it was a little, tight to turn. But I wasn't upset about that. Again, if this was a $600 mixer or even a $400 mixer, I would expect everything when it came to all these knobs to be perfect. To have 4 knobs that I had to basically pull up and lift up on a little bit just to get them to smoothly run back and forth was fine with me. And the fact that this has a little wiggle in it didn't bother me at all. I'm not worried about this. It does have what's important, a dust cover built into the actual unit right in the sliders. There's dust covers on all of them. The most important thing is that dust cover. I would cover this if I'm not using it. If I have it at home and it's going to sit there for 2 weeks, why am I going to let it gather dust for 2 weeks? I don't want any dust to get in anything, so I would cover it just to keep it nice and pristine. Dust inside is what's going to end up giving you that crackly, scratchy sound to it. So keeping the dust out by keeping it covered is a really nice way to go. And if you like looking at it, get a clear piece of plastic to put over it. That'll do just fine. So I'd like to say thanks to Phenyx for making this product available to us. I always like looking at products like this. I see a large variety of price points when it comes to products, and I look at products with a very open mind. And first of all, it has to work right. So everything they claim it to do, it has to do, and it has to sound right. I don't want to hear a nasty, background noise, problems like that. If you're in a small band and you're looking to have something for the garage or the rec room for you and your buddies, this is a great way to go. Price is very important, because that's what it's all about here. This is all about the price and everything you can get with it. Long-term reliability and dependability, I'm not worried about it. If you dropped it too many times, that I'd be worried about. But outside of that, keep it on a table, keep it clean, keep it covered if you're not using it, and it'll take care of you. There's no amplifiers in here, right? This is going to go to powered speakers or to another amp than regular speakers. That means it's going to last a lot longer that way. I'm more concerned with reasonably priced amplifiers than I am about reasonably priced preamped mixers. Now remember, this only has a single channel coming out of it when it comes to recording options, so that's very important. If you want, have a look. When I do finish it, that video will be linked right up here for you. That's really important. So there you go. I hope you liked the video. I hope it was helpful. Maybe I'll see you in the next video. I'd like to say thanks for watching. Bye for now.